We're good to go.
All right. Thanks very much. I'd like to call the meeting to order of the City of Monona Plan Commission, Monday, February 8th, 2021. Could you please call the roll?
Chair Moore,
Here.
Ms. Fox,
Here.
Mr. Homburg,
Here.
Ms. Fowlett,
Here.
Mr. Stein,
Here.
Mr. Peterson,
Here.
Mr. Holmquist, and Alder Goforth are excused.
Thank you, Doug. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes from January 25th, 2021?
Move approval.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Great. Any changes, corrections? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, the minutes carry. Do we have any appearances this evening, Doug?
I don't believe, I believe that everyone that's on the line is here to speak for one of either the Four Lakes Yacht Club or for the sign permit request. Is that correct?
Okay, great. That being the case, we'll close the appearances and number 5, unfinished business. We have none. Moving to new business, number 6, pre-hearing conference on the request by Four Lakes Yacht Club, represented by Dimension 4 Madison Design Group for consideration of a zoning permit for building renovations at 6312 Inland Way, case number 2-004-2021. I understand we have, yes, Chris.
I'm a member of the Four Lakes Yacht Club, so I'll abstain on this item.
Thank you, sir. Josh?
I'm in the same position.
Okay, thank you, Josh. Appreciate it. With that, we'll go to the pre-hearing conference. Who is here this evening to speak on behalf of Four Lakes?
I think there's several. My name is Jerry Berkwin, and I'm with Dimension 4 Architects in Madison, Wisconsin. So I can give you a little rundown. I think Doug's got the drawings, or you've got drawings electronically.
Yes. Would you like me to share the screen with the packet that we have? Would that be helpful?
Or if you can just pull those up or whatever, probably start with, we're just kind of walk through those. But while Doug's doing that, I was going to give you a general overview of the project. So the Yacht Club, there's a lot of activity, new construction down that area, which you're well aware of. And they now have some access to funds to be able to actually then renovate their existing building. So they want to upgrade their exterior image of their building while the other activities being gone in that area. And we're not really making the building any larger, but we're really trying to give the building, I guess, more of a presence. As you know, the existing building is kind of a concrete block building. Maybe Doug, I think that's in there. Is that like the next sheet in or so? Is that the?
Yes. Here we go.
Yeah, so it's really kind of I won't say it's nondescript, but it's pretty straightforward. Concrete block exterior, just painted block. Going around through there, there's a boatyard on the one end. The front entrance is really low key. There's a metal door with some glass and a little small canopy on it. And so what we want to do is actually upgrade mainly the front image along the street, as well as the image along the riverside also, to create more of an inviting, I'll say, club atmosphere or image to the building. So it's got more of a feel that it belongs in there rather than just kind of being a concrete block building in that area. So maybe flip to the next one. So the building itself, as you see through there, toward the bottom, that's the one kind of toward the where the storage yard is right now. So that'd be kind of south on the bottom. So the door location where the arrow is going to stay where it is, but we're going to upgrade that with a aluminum storefront on there and bring some more windows, get a lot more glass along the front side. And you'll also see that we've added a front porch on that because we do want to protect the door as well as kind of give it a little more of an image statement there at the same time. The inside is pretty similar to what it is. We're just opening the whole space up a little more, renovating kind of the, I'll say the galley area where we've got the kitchen and the bar area and the meeting areas in through there. So we're just kind of renovating that, move the offices around to make it a little more inviting, upgrade the existing restroom, make that accessible. And then along the riverside, you'll see where there's, again, we're adding a canopy on that side and a seating area on the outside of the building. There you go, in that area. And again, upgrade those windows in that area. Pick up a few more windows in the bottom corner where those double doors are. They do have provide a service kind of to the public, like for gas, if you're boating and want to get in there. So they have a little pay station right inside that door. So outside the building, we're not making any bigger or any smaller, but we're just upgrading the overall image at the same time. So this is the elevation. So this would be the new front door image. So we're looking from the street side. So we wanted to really emphasize that front door. So we're using a stone material on that. And we've also raised the corner of the building. You kind of see, we're not here for signage tonight, but we wanted to raise that to a little more prominence in that area. And then we also have then the roof or the canopy area or the front door for protection, as well as to identify as the front door area. Now our focus is mainly on that corner, but you'll see to the left, we also are going to finish the rest of our building all the way down through there to tie all our colors in and materials in. And you'll see as you get later on, we're using a concrete siding on that. That's a lap siding, and we're kind of in more of a nautical or a blue theme on that, but we want to tie that all together at the same time. Maybe Doug, if you just kind of roll it up a little bit there. So this view would be then from the riverside. So we're kind of carrying that same theme through the other side. We've got a covered porch there, and that will have a permanent metal roof on that. Again, using the same stone to kind of highlight the building itself. And then as we get away from where the people are going to gather and get down more, say, to the boat areas to the right, again, we're downplaying that with a little more of the fiber cement lap siding, but we are bringing on a siding material on that. So it's not just painted black. We want to give a little texture to it at the same time. More sheet. So this would be the side that actually faced toward the south. And this side actually is in the fenced boat storage area. So you won't see some of this, but we do see the corners of the building, which are going to be in the stone. So we did actually then accent those to pick those up and give them a strong image for the building itself, then going back to the same fiber cement lap siding down the sides of the building. These are just more three-dimensional drawings. Again, the one on the top is at the front entrance of the building as they're coming in. And then the lower one is around the corner looking more from the riverside or the dock side, actually back toward the club itself. So you see we're bringing in a lot of glass, really want to open up the space. So we're along the river, so you want to take advantage of those views, but also be inviting toward the street on the other side. These are just some samples of materials. As I mentioned, we're using like a cultured stone and be the color that'd be on the corners. We're also then using the fiber cement siding, kind of the blue color down the corner there. Standing seam metal roof is kind of the dark color on that. Then we got cast stone like sills and headers at the windows. The other one to the left you'll see is we're going to re-enclose our boat storage area there. And we're going to, again, a chain link for security, but we want to get more of a black finish on that. So we can kind of use that then to actually upgrade that a little bit at the same time. So what we're doing is, kind of same thing. We want to kind of upgrade our facility, create more of a club atmosphere. So it's not quite as utilitarian on that, but blend us in with everything else that's happening in that same area. So that's our general intent and what we want to do. So we're here for feedback tonight, get some comments back, and we'll be in with the formal submission. I don't know if there's someone here from the club that wants to talk at all. I don't know if Mark's here or anybody else.
Does anybody else from the club want to talk?
Okay, I think I covered most everything, but.
Okay, all right, great. Thank you. Doug, do you have anything you'd like to share?
Nothing much more.
Nancy, I think the gentleman from Four Lakes was trying to say something, but he might have been muted. Couldn't tell.
Okay.
Because you want.
Okay, thank you. I was wondering about that, although it doesn't have a mute button on it. Sir, were you wanting to say something? Okay.
You look good.
Yeah, if you were trying to talk, we can't hear you. Microphone isn't working. Okay. Maybe they'll try to sign back in again. Anybody else here from the yacht club that wanted to say something? Okay. Hearing none. And Doug, you said you don't have anything?
Nothing much more really to add, just to mention in the staff report, the A lot of it was already covered, the building materials, the screening, just making mention of the fencing there as well, given that this is in the more of a commercial district. It's a discussion for the planning commission to have rather than for the building inspector and I just to issue. So I think that, the materials are already outlined, but that may be something that sort of is included later in the formal submission, a little more detail on maybe the heights and things like that of the fencing itself. But I think the commission could maybe discuss that tonight, but also just to highlight again that the signage would be a later application, may well come in at the same time as the formal submittal.
Right,
That's it for me. Thank you.
right. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay. Who would like to start with their feedback? Corinne?
Good evening, everyone. Well, I think, first of all, I think this will look very nice. I like the mixture of the stone with the color that you have in the picture. I think that's going to look really nice. Much needed, I think. There's a lot of people heading down to this area, so I think it'll really draw the eye to your club. I did have some questions about the fencing. So do you have information about how tall the fence is now and how tall you're planning to have the fence?
Bjorn, I may let you jump in on that if you can. I'm gonna guess it's maybe 6 feet or something. I may be off by a little bit.
Yeah,
Bjorn's with
can you
the
hear
Convention
me?
for also.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. We are basically replacing the fence in kind. I think the existing fence is approximately 6 feet, not much more than that. And so there's also a sort of cantilevered rolling gate that will also be replaced, which was what that photo was showing. But we're basically, like I said, replacing it in kind, unless there are any specific sort of zoning requirements or district requirements that we should try and satisfy. But the plan as it is to sort of just replace it in kind.
Okay. Doug, I'm not sure if I'm reading this correctly here or not, but what because it says on the shore side, the fence is a maximum of 42 inches, but it doesn't say from the street side. So is there a height? Am I missing a height limitation?
So the ordinance that's referenced does have specific height limits and guidance typically for single and two family residential properties. And so the language there does say for any other district effectively that's not single or two family, it's more of a discussion between the plan commission, the building inspector, and the zoning administrators. So,
Okay.
I think my read and generally if it is like for like, if it's a similar height, if that's the will of the commission that that's been working and that's appropriate, then I think that can still remain in place. But the intent typically with the step down on the water side, on the water's edge, is typically in a residential area for view corridors not to be obstructed. But I think in more of a commercial space, then there's more of a security reason for it
Right.
to exist as it is.
Yeah, and I'm not suggesting that there needs to be a fence on the water side. I was just, when I was looking at it, that's what I saw. But I also was wondering, I think the black coating on the chain link is an upgrade as well, but did you consider other materials for the fence?
Not at this point. It really was just to sort of upgrade it without going into a completely different configuration. That said, I mean, we could easily introduce sort of vertical slats. It would still be a chain link fence, but we could put vertical slats within the chain link to give it more of a sort of, so that you're sort of blocking the view a little bit and give it more of a solid appearance. But that might be maybe a little bit much. I
Yeah, well,
think.
to block the view of the river then too.
Yeah,
Just,
yeah.
but then when I was looking at the pictures of what's there now, there's some, I guess just, I can't tell if it's the dumpsters or there's some things, it's on the, let's see, I don't know what page, the second page of my packet. And I guess I would just ask you to be mindful then of the screening of things that are in that storage space to upgrade that as
Yes.
well.
Yes, absolutely. We'll definitely take care of the container enclosure. We will develop that for the final submission.
Okay.
Yes.
And do you have any plans for any lighting in the area as well?
We have not discussed lighting, exterior lighting at this point. It would make sense to incorporate that under the canopies to illuminate the entryway.
Yeah.
We have not discussed any other lighting. We obviously don't want to light up the area too much, I think, but it would be nice to highlight the signage without creating too much light pollution. We don't want to be, I see there's a big residential development coming across the street. We want to be mindful of that. But that would be something we would want to discuss with ownership.
Okay.
For the final submission.
Well, yeah, we'll definitely want to see that as
Yes.
part of the final packet. But that's all I have for now. It looks really nice, and like I said, I think it'll really be positive for your club and for that area.
Great, thank you, Corinne. Rob?
All right, well, I'm excited to see this. This is a building that's in need of a facelift, and I think what you put together is really nice, and I think it's going to kind of finish off that area to a great degree. Corinne touched on a couple of things I was going to mention. The fence, I'm glad that you're going to a black vinyl coated. Will there be barbed wire on the top as well?
I guess that's a good question. I don't know if that's a good question. It's
a question for you to decide, but I was just gonna make sure that coordinates with, if it could coordinate with the black vinyl so that it blends in as much as possible.
Certainly,
that would be great. Just my 2 cents on the slats. I do not like the privacy slats.
Yeah.
I would look for an alternative. And then another thing I was going to ask about was landscaping. It looks like you got some, I don't know, upright buckthorn or something in front of the building now that will likely not survive the remodel. Is there plans to update the landscaping or replace?
I think the scope for landscaping is pretty minimal. We're basically trying to keep what is existing. It'll likely have to be cut back a little bit to open up for that entry and the canopy. So there will probably be less landscaping than it is currently. Given we're opening those windows at the front where there are none right now. So we'll probably cut it back a little bit given the sort of configuration of the canopy.
I think we may look at more like seasonal kind of large planters, whatever, things we can kind of change out with the right seasons on that too, to kind of emphasize, again, as Bjorn mentioned, the entrance a little more, rather than the whole wall. Yeah, I think the tall ones down toward the north or whatever, if we can still screen some of that area, I think that's a nice touch. And we also are screening, we didn't bring it up, but there's a transformer on the north end of that lot or whatever. We're building a screen around that too, because we want to hide that also. That doesn't sit out there. So.
Awesome. I like it. That's all I got. I'm excited to see this go forward. Thanks.
Great. Susan.
Yeah, nothing to add really. I think it looks really nice also. And yeah, I agree. This is great timing for it. I think it'll be a really nice upgrade. And yeah, I guess seeing more detail on the fencing later would be helpful, but that seems to me to be an appropriate height. I'm fine with leaving it that way. So just screening, yeah, some of the things behind it, the HVAC certainly. Otherwise, I think it looks great. I think adding the windows is great. The whole, yeah, looks a lot better. So nothing to add.
Okay, great. Thank you. I believe we've covered everybody that's here this evening. I would just add that that I too am grateful. This looks terrific. Obviously, an upgrade given the rest of the upgrade that we've given the area. You know, I think it ties in nicely. The brickwork that you're talking about ties in nicely with the rest of the development at the riverfront, and I think it is much more welcoming. And it's hard for me to imagine a yacht club that didn't have all kinds of windows. So you know, when you're on the water, you know, so I think it overall, I think it looks great. And I concur certainly with the fencing, that I'm glad to see that it's going to be black, is I'm sure you know, the city invested quite a bit in our fencing and the development right next door. And so that I think that is something that we'll be keeping an eye on. And we appreciate you, at least at this juncture, being sensitive to not just leaving a chain link or putting up a traditional chain link, and in terms of color. And so I thank you guys for the investment, and thanks for coming tonight.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Thank you.
look forward to
Thank you.
seeing it. I will close the pre-hearing conference and move to 6B, the public hearing on the request by Mojo Home Interiors for one new wall sign at 6323 Monona Drive, case number S001-2021. Who's here to speak this evening on behalf of Mojo Home Interiors?
I'm here. My name is Maria Kovac. I'm a part owner of Mojo Home Interiors.
Welcome, Maria.
Thank you.
What would you like to share this evening?
We recently signed a lease with the Cozy Home, Lorraine Richard, who I've known for a couple of years now, and the location is absolutely perfect. The synergy between the two companies, I think, is going to be fantastic. We are a home interior design and residential remodeling firm. And so we are super excited to be moving into this to this location. So this is all very new. The whole planning commission and signage and all of that is new for us.
Okay, great. Anybody else here to speak or on your behalf, or are you the only one representing tonight?
I am Sheila from Capital City Signs.
Okay, great.
Providing and installing the sign.
Okay, great. Is there anything you'd like to say about the sign before we?
No, it's very comparable to what the Cozy Home has, so it'll coordinate well with the building, and it's the same materials, approximately the same size. The Cozy Home's slightly larger, but they have a larger space as well. So, but it's just comparable material, and it'll blend in.
Okay, great. Thank you. Is there anybody else here this evening that is here to speak at the public hearing section regarding this interior proposal and signage? Anybody else here? Okay, hearing none, then I will close the public hearing and go to 6C, consideration of action on the request by Mojo Home Interiors for one new wall sign at 6328 Monona Drive, case number S001-2021. Josh, would you like to start us off? Or sorry, Doug.
Thank you, Chair Moore. I can just give a little bit of background to this, both the business as well as the signage request. So I was coordinating with the property owner in terms of understanding whether this needed a zoning permit. The previous use, the Madison Hypnosis Center, I believe it was called, the lease on that, it's been less than 6 months that the store has been vacant. I believe it was November 2020 that the lease finished for that. And in speaking with Ms. Kovac in terms of the business itself and the operation. They're very similar in their hours, expected parking needs and things like that. It's not sort of a sales room. It's more of a sort of space that you would maybe go and meet with the designer, and it's a much very low foot traffic business. So in determining that, it was determined that there was no need for a zoning permit, and it would just be the signage request. So that's sort of a little background to the use itself. Looking at this, the signage itself, it's a 17 square foot wall sign. The previous application for signage is included in the packet, which shows 28 feet of frontage for this storefront itself. And so with 1 square foot of signage for every foot of frontage, the owner is entitled to 28 square feet of signage. Given the signage does not have backing to it or a cabinet, the measurements have it just over 17 square feet. So it does meet the sign code as proposed. It's also in the Monona Drive urban design guidelines along the corridor there, but I think that the signage proposed meets the spirit and the intent of the design guidelines. So with that, staff recommendation is approval with the recommended conditions as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Josh.
Thanks, Nancy. I don't have a lot to say here. Doug, I appreciate the pre-work and the imagery from Madison Hypnosis. It seems pretty straightforward. It looks like it's a pretty similar like-for-like change out and an overall reduction in signage. I think it looks good.
Okay, great. Chris?
Agreed. I think it looks good. I'm glad to see the individual channel lit letters. It matches the rest of the signage. Welcome to Monona. Look forward to having another business here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Maureen?
I think it looks great. It's got a little more style than what was there before too. So I like that. And I like that it has some synergy with we're talking about the sign, but I'm excited. I'm excited to have that you're coming to Monona. So I think it looks great.
Perfect. Thank you. Rob?
I have no comment. Looks good.
Okay, great. Susan?
Yep, nothing to add. Looks good to me.
Okay, great. With that, do I have a motion?
Move approval with conditions as recommended by staff.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Maria, welcome to Monona.
Thank you very much. We're very excited and looking forward to it.
Good. Well, I hope your first experience at Plan Commission was a good one.
Very much so. Thank you.
Again,
Thank you.
welcome. Happy to have you here. And Sheila, thank you as well.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too. Okay, with that, we're going to move to reports of staff and commission members. Staff report regarding the status of development projects.
Thank you. So good news with just the amount of interest and things that seem to be moving through. A couple more zoning permit applications expected to be initiated in the next couple of meetings, as well as having both the WPS and the high school formal hearings. We had the pre-hearings for those in early January. They will both be on the docket for the second meeting in February. Additionally, City Administrator Gatto and I have also been meeting with a couple different folks about potential sites across the city. Again, sadly, it's too soon to share too much information, but just know, conversations are continuing and both pretty interesting developments that could be taking place. So hoping to sort of continue to see those move forward, potentially, for a pre-hearing at either Plan Commission and or CDA in the coming months. So things are still progressing and hoping that we can share some good news with you all.
Right, excuse me. Thank you, Doug. Appreciate it. Do the Plan Commission members have any requests for information from Doug? No? Yes, Doug.
I do just have one more thing to add. I'm sorry. The city is starting a monthly e-newsletter, and that's something I'm going to share the link for you all to sign up. It's very much general, so it's going to include information from all city departments. So I'll share the link for that for you to sign up. I think it's going to be monthly. It may even go to twice a month, but I'll share that with you, and feel free to sign up. Thank you.
Thanks, Doug. When I first came on board the council in 2017, communications was a focus then, and we did a study because, right now communications falls under other duties as assigned for individual departments, and we don't have the luxury of having a communications person for the whole city. So this has been something that's been thought about for a long time, unfortunately, because we were able to hire a new person in community media that has the right skill set, as opposed to the person that we had before, to be able to help us out with something like this. It was terrific timing for the mayor and for all of us to be able to adopt this, and I trust it'll be a big help for everyone to be able to get the word out more consistently. So we want to thank Samantha for that, who's our new community media person that's helping us make it happen. Anything else? Any other requests for information? Okay.
I just have a quick question.
Yeah.
I shared with Chris and a couple other folks that were on early that I did watch the last meeting, all 3 hours of it. You guys are troopers.
Just under 3, right? It was like 8 minutes shy.
But there was talk, I think, Corinne, you brought it up, that maybe it's time to reevaluate a Broadway corridor. And I don't know that there was ever any conclusion on that. It was just kind of left open. Do we intend to take that back up for further discussion at a later point, or?
Yeah, I think
did I miss the conclusion?
Yeah, no, I think we're certainly open to that. If although I trust, since you watched all 3 hours, you also heard Brian, the presentation that Doug and Brian did, and in terms of the value of big plans and corridor plans, but I think that we're all, which is to say that they're not always the bang for buck. They're not always as much value as we might have, but I think that we're committed to officially burying the one we have now at the same time that we look to upgrade it. And so, yes, we'll have it put on an agenda at a future meeting.
Sounds good. Thanks.
But I guess my only thought was I'm not sure officially burying it is exactly what I heard. It was more, it definitely needs to be looked at and upgraded, but not with a full-fledged plan. But there were aspects of it that are still appropriate. So
yeah, I didn't mean to say it wasn't appropriate, but just that as we've done development to some degree, we haven't been towing the line to the letter, depending on, in terms of what the old plan represented. And so to a certain extent, there have only been a few of us that have been following it, and which is fine. But we haven't, as a commission, we haven't consistently followed it because, of course, every development is different and we've had to make adjustments. And so I didn't mean it in any kind of a derogatory way, just to say that, and you're right, there are some things in it that are very important.
Some useful language,
yeah. I concur, and I stand corrected. Anything else?
I guess I have one question. Kind of hate to bring it up, but our comprehensive plan is not that old. However, it takes time to do those every time that it's due. So I guess I'm just curious, Doug, at what point would the city start the process of the next comprehensive plan? Is it a year before the expiration of the plan?
Sure.
Or is it
So-
2 years? Yeah.
Yeah, so state statute requires that they be updated at a minimum of every 10 years. And so I believe it was adopted in April of 2016. So I would imagine it's probably at least 18 months beforehand that we'd be looking to, to begin that update process, just because it does, it takes a lot of time for the public input, for the actual development of the plan itself, but also to take it through, commissions and through council ultimately. And so, I think it's already something on both Brian and I's radar. I would say we'd probably look to be planning at least 2 years out, just in case we do. I wasn't here for the last one, but I think in terms of if we were to hire assistants and things like that, as we think about budget cycles, I think 2 years out would be appropriate, just to even begin thinking about it and just start that process so that we're not sort of racing against time there.
Okay, but that's still 3 years away.
I would say so. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a pretty huge undertaking, as you might imagine, that I'm sure other people that have been through it before sitting here would be able to share, right, Chris? It's a quite involved process to get that done.
Yeah, we did not, I don't recall that we hired outside help last time, but what we did is there's a lot of sections. We started taking it one section at a time, and we had a light plan commission agenda. Then a section or a portion of a section would be on our agenda for that night to have a discussion about and see how the commission felt, how the community felt, if there's things that needed to be changed or updated or where the sentiment was. And breaking it down in those smaller pieces, we felt between a planner and an assistant that we had enough staff internally to be able to work on it. And we just, like I said, I don't know if it was 2 years, but it was, I suspect Plan Commission alone worked on it for, I'm going to guess 9 months or better. Plus it still had to go through a lot of other, Plan Commission puts the final thing for recommendation to the council, but we also ask for a lot of input from all the other committees and commissions on looking at it before we look at it, so that we can take all that input and put it together with what the commissioners think before we forward it to the city council. And the city council got it a piece at a time, Doug, too. They didn't act on it, but they were kept abreast of the progress so that it wasn't overwhelming, and they got this massive packet all at once to try to dig through, because we all know it's hard to spend enough time when you're a volunteer to be able to do all that plus your normal 9 to 5 jobs.
Sure.
So is that what you were looking for?
Yep, that's great.
Thank you, Chris.
Corinne, was that what you were looking for?
Yeah, I was just thinking of the timing a little bit, because maybe that's something that we can talk about, how we would incorporate into a comprehensive plan revision.
Right.
Take the pieces that are still relevant and somehow incorporate it into a comprehensive plan. So.
Sure.
If you're talking about the Broadway Corridor plan, about the only thing I believe that we do in the comprehensive plan is we mention that we have individual plans for different areas, but it's not adopted as part of the comprehensive plan. It's a separate plan just for that area.
Right, but I guess I'm thinking about the way that the Broadway Corridor plan was talking about the different areas along Broadway and what the intention or goal would be for those areas. And that is something that I feel is translated into the comprehensive plan, at least in the mapping.
Yeah, and we just revised that a couple years ago, maybe more than that, the future zoning districts or the anticipated zoning districts. We've gone through that. It wasn't long ago. I think it's right before you came, Doug.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I know it doesn't have the standards and the specifics. I guess I was thinking bigger picture.
Yeah, bigger picture is a comprehensive plan for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Move.
Josh has moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Great. I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you all again. I hope you're staying warm. Got a few more days of this before we get through our first Arctic blast. Hopefully our only Arctic blast of the winter.
Hopefully our only.
That's hope.
Yeah. All right. Well, stay
Thank you.
warm, stay healthy, and we'll see you all again soon.
Yep.
Thank you
Take
very
care.
much.